The immigration law in the Czech Republic changes every 2 years. The last change happened in 2021, then before that in 2019. And this year, 2023, there is also an update to the immigration law, which will become effective from the 1st of July of this year. So that's in like 3 days from now, 2 or 3 days from now. So I decided to go through everything with you. And let's see how many of those changes affect you specifically, because there are quite some and pretty significant ones. So hopefully this will be useful and you will not get trapped in some bad situation because of not knowing about the changes. So I will divide this video into 2 parts. First will be changes that the Ministry of the Interior itself seems as important. That's why they list them on their official website. And then the second part will be about those which I think are important, which are some additional changes which the ministry doesn't even mention. And I'm sure there are even more changes that haven't been listed anywhere because we don't know about them yet. They are kind of hidden in the law and we will be finding about them during the year. Luckily, at Move to Prague, we have higher hundreds of cases a year, around thousands of cases a year. So we will know about all the hidden changes pretty soon because it's pretty likely that some of our clients will be like this specific cases where like not the common changes, but also the small hidden ones apply. So we will update you about that. We will list all the changes on our website. So movetoprague.com/Prague-blog. If you go to our website, just find the blog section. It will be all there. But if you prefer a video, here I am about the most important parts of the immigration law, the changes. So one thing I mentioned before we start is that whatever you apply for before the 1st of July, that will be still finished under the current law. So if you applied for something which will change after the 1st of July, you will still be, like the decision about your case will be done under the old law or under the current law. These changes only apply to applications submitted or cases started after the 1st of July, or 1st of July included, but 1st of July and on, okay? So now for employee cards, let's see what's here. Yeah, this is a very strange change. I actually don't really know what it is about, but the law now says that when you submit an application for an employee card, you need to provide a document showing the vacancy number. We've always done it with our clients. We fill in the form, plus we print out the job advertisement. So we've always done it. But you also need to fill it in the application form, and they should not accept the application without the number, because then you have nothing to apply for if you don't have the number. So I don't know why this change actually happened, but it's there. So now it's mandatory when you go submit application for an employee card. It's mandatory to submit a document showing the vacancy number of the position you're applying for. That's a pretty simple change. I don't understand why it's there, but it's there. But there are some big changes in the blue card section. So let's go through them one by one. First thing is that even asylum, people who hold asylum or who have the subsidiary protection, which doesn't mean the protection that has been given to Ukrainian refugees. But if you have asylum, or if you're like an asylum seeker, the subsidiary protection, you can also apply for a blue card, which I guess for the people to whom it applies, it's important. For our clients, not really, because we don't really deal with asylum seekers. Now, great change is that the blue card validity will be up to 3 years. I believe it will depend again on the employment contract. But if you get employment contract for at least 3 years or for unlimited period of time, you can get the blue card for 3 years instead of 2 as it is now. So that's a great change. And that also applies to extensions of blue card. So even if you want to extend your blue card, you can extend it for another 3 years, which is amazing. So basically, before you can get a permanent residence permit, you will basically just be extending once. Compared, for example, to other visas or residence permits where you need to extend like 2-3 times before you reach the permanent residency. That's amazing change. And I must say that plenty of the changes are about blue cards, so that's obviously something the ministry wants to push. So they want more people coming under the blue cards. So if you qualify, this might be the chance for you. I've done another video. I will share the link somewhere here when I finish the live stream about blue cards and the requirements. So go check it. But if you qualify for a blue card, it seems like only getting better and better option. Another big change there is that you don't have to request the ministry or ask the ministry for approval of change of employer. Okay, so now it is the way that within the first 2 years of having a blue card, if you want to change employer, the Ministry of Interior must first approve it. So you need to submit application, and they evaluate it, and like 2 months later, they will tell you, okay, you can change or you cannot change. This will be eliminated, and you basically will just need to report that you changed the employer within 3 days, that you finished the job, and that you started a new job within 3 days, report it to the ministry, and that's it. This is how it works now for blue card holders who have been here for longer than 2 years, but now it will apply to everyone, all the blue card holders. So that's great. Another thing is that under the blue card, you can be unemployed for up to 6 months. So for example, for the blue card, it's 2 months. If you don't find a new employer within 2 months, your employee card will be canceled. For the blue card holders, it will be 6 months now, which is great change as well. And now it's also possible to submit, it's like a technical detail, but it's also possible to submit a contract about future contract for the blue card, because up until now you had to submit an employment contract, and I believe with the minimum validity of 1 year. Now you can submit an employment contract for minimum validity of 6 months, I believe, and you can also submit just a contract about future contract, which is a common practice for employee cards, but for blue cards it wasn't possible. Another thing for blue card holders, there are a lot, I told you, they want to push it a lot. This is amazing, actually, that if you have a blue card in some other EU country and you want to apply for a blue card in the Czech Republic, so you will not have to provide any proofs of your criminal history. So no criminal check from the country of your origin, and no criminal checks from the countries where you have lived longer than 6 months in the last 3 years. Because as of now, it's the way that even if you have been living in Germany for 5 years and you're applying for a blue card in the Czech Republic, you still need to provide criminal check from the country of your origin and criminal check from Germany. Now you will not have to. So that's a great advantage, and it will shorten the time for blue card applications a lot. Another thing is that you will not even need to provide your education documents proving that you have the required education, which is at least bachelor's degree or at least 3 years of university in these terms. But that only applies to blue card holders in other EU countries who have been there for longer than 2 years. So if you've been in Germany for 3 years, you don't basically need to submit almost anything. No criminal checks, no education documents, so just accommodation and the employment contract. So that will be pretty simple. That's amazing. Now, another change is long-term residence permit for the purpose of family reunification. That doesn't seem too bad to me or too much of a change, because what the ministry says that an application for this type of long-term residence permit, so the family reunification, may be filled by blah, 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 and then basically list the same type of people who can apply even now. So it's a minor child, spouse, blah, 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 a parent. But the difference here is that up until now, it could be it had to be a child which is a minor below some age, or even above some age, but if they are not taking care of themselves. So in most cases, in what we worked with, it was, you could apply for the family reunification even if you were up to 26 years old, I believe, as a child, if you were studying. So meaning that you were not employed or that you were not like at home and not doing nothing, but as long as you were studying, we actually had a couple cases like that even recently. So you could apply under the family reunification. Now, as a child, you cannot, or you will not be able to do that anymore. So children basically only until the 18 years of age, regardless of studies, and above 18 years of age, they will not be able to apply for family reunification. So that's pretty significant change in my opinion, but the rest, that's basically just removing one word from the definition. So should not be that bad, but this one is so children who are above 18 cannot apply at all. Now they could, or until now. So if that's your case, you definitely need to apply before the 1st of July and still be treated the same way as before. Another change for permanent residence application is that you cannot submit the permanent residence application if you are here only under the bridge visa, which means that you don't have a physical card or a physical visa. It will be card in most cases, but you are in the process of extending it, for example, then you cannot apply for the permanent residency. It's not that significant change, I would say, because I was thinking about it before shooting the video, but I cannot really think of too many cases that would apply to that. But in some cases, what we used to do is that you applied, for example, for extension of your employee card, and then during the approval process, you already applied for a permanent residency because you already were here for 5 years. But that will no longer be possible. So you will first need to finish the employee card extension process, for example, and only after that you will be able to apply for the permanent residency. Don't know exactly why the ministry did that. Maybe people were misusing it, like that they just applied for extension just to gain additional time and then applied for permanent residency, and they didn't really even want it to get the long-term residence extended. They just did it to get some more time for the permanent residency. So maybe that's the motivation for the ministry, I don't know. But now it will not be possible. So if you're here under a bridge visa only at the moment, you will not be able to submit permanent residence application. Now, expiration of a long-term visa or residence permit granted for the purpose of leave to remain. I must say that this is probably the first time I'm hearing this term. We usually use a tolerance visa or acceptance visa. That's a special type of visa which allows you to stay here, that the Czech Republic kind of tolerates you at its territory, but it's only given in very specific cases which you don't really meet in like daily life. Even we've done, I don't know how many thousands of cases in the last 11 years. And we've seen this type of visa given to our clients maybe like 3-5 times, something like that. It's pretty rare type of visa for specific situations. But anyway, now the visas or residence permit will not expire unless you leave the Schengen space. And that's probably it. Yeah, so you would need to leave the Schengen space to get the visa cancelled. I guess now it was when you left the Czech Republic, because it only allowed you to stay in the Czech Republic. Now it will allow you to stay even in other Schengen countries, but once you leave Schengen countries, it will be cancelled. So I don't think it applies to many of you. Now, yeah, now people, maybe NGOs will have something against this, but yeah, this is for international protection and permanent residence permit. I don't think it's interesting for most of my followers or subscribers. Yeah, this is actually a good change, that when you imagine you apply for something, some long-term residence permit, so employee card, blue card, student residence permit, family reunification residence permit, permanent residence permit at the embassy. So let's say somewhere in India or in Dresden or wherever you applied for an employee card. So then once you're approved, you need to get a special 60 days visa to get to the Czech Republic and finish the process, because you need to then give biometric details, your fingerprints, photo, all that. And only after that, the employee card will be issued, or the residence permit in general. What you had to do now is that you need to go to the Ministry of the Interior and register with them within 3 days. And that's basically impossible because they don't have appointments within 3 days. So everyone who came to the Czech Republic had to go in the line like 5 o'clock in the morning and wait in the line. So this has been changed. And now you can do the registration within 30 days after your arrival, which is actually an amazing change. And it will make especially our life much easier, because we don't have to go with everyone in the morning. That's kind of stupid and crazy. So that's an important change. And then another changes are about the administrative fees, but let me just check if the camera is still running, because something strange things happen. Good, so sorry, I'm back. So now the change, if you lost your card, the residence card, and you wanted to get a new one, or it was stolen, whatever, if you wanted to get a new one because of some of these reasons, you had to pay 4,000 crowns admin fee. Now it will be only 2,500. But it still remains the same, that you need to pay in revenue stamps. They haven't started accepting cash or cards or anything like that. So they just lowered the requirement for the payment for a lost or stolen card. They changed some fees for asylum protection seekers, but that usually doesn't apply to any of our clients. So I don't need to go through that, I think. So those were the official changes the ministry lists on their website. And now the changes I see as important, because there are a couple more changes, and actually many of you asked me about some of those, or you mentioned some of them when messaging me or talking to me. So I think those are even more important for those of you who are watching than the previous ones. So first thing, I mentioned that blue cards will be, but these are changes we still need to, when the law is like completely out and starts being effective, we will go through the law properly. And whenever we go to the ministry, we will also check with them. So will we get in the updates regularly and posting them on our blog, as I mentioned in the beginning, movetoprague.com, and then just check the blog section there. But so the blue card, you can be unemployed for up to 6 months and still keep the blue card. Now, very important change for many of our clients is that at the moment, generally, you can apply for any type of visa or residence permit through a Czech embassy in the country of your origin. So if you're an Indian, for example, you can only apply for an employee card in India, at the Czech embassy in India. If you're South African, you can only apply for a Czech visa or Czech residence permit at the Czech embassy in South Africa. The only exception to that is, like, of course, the countries who have exception and can apply anywhere. That applies to Americans, Australians, Canadians, Mexicans, like around 40, 50 countries. But the rest of the world could only apply at the home country or country of origin, or at the country where they hold a long-term or permanent residence permit. So if you're an Indian and you live in Poland and you have a residence card there, then you could apply for a Czech residence permit at the Czech embassy in Poland, or now in Dresden, for example. The only requirement there was that you had to have a long-term residence permit or a permanent residence permit. So not a visa sticker. So if you lived in Poland, but you just had a visa, you couldn't apply for anything. You would have to apply from the country of your origin. But if you had a long-term residence permit or permanent residence permit, you could apply through the Czech embassy in that country where you're residing. Now this should be changed to 2 years. So it kind of doesn't matter what exactly you have, what kind of residence permit you have in that country where you reside in, but you must be there for at least 2 years. So I was talking with a client on WhatsApp earlier today, and he asked me about that. He has some friends living, I believe, in Poland, and they've been there for 8 months. So, and they have residence permits. So at this point, they could apply for an employee card through the Czech embassy in Dresden, which is responsible for Poland. But from the 1st of July, they will not be able to do that because they only live there for 8 months and not 2 years. So even though they have the residence permits, they will not be able to do that in 3 days. So this is pretty significant change. I understand why the ministry is doing that. So you don't get a Czech visa and then immediately move to Germany, or the other way around. You don't get a Polish visa and then immediately move to the Czech Republic. So they want to make sure that you really wanted to move to the country and then somehow accidentally or whatever found a job somewhere else. But for our clients, it will be pretty big complication. And then probably the biggest change many of you were asking me about is the public health insurance for children. So yes, this should also be in the change of the law, that children born in the Czech Republic whose mother has a long-term residence permit, so not a visa sticker in their passport, but a long-term residence permit or permanent residence permit will qualify for the public healthcare. So they can be covered by the public healthcare. They don't have to get the crappy like PVZP private insurance, which is expensive and covers, I don't want to say nothing in case someone's watching, they cover something, but it's private, so they have so many exceptions and everything. So yeah, I don't really like that insurance. So the kids will be able to get the public. That should also apply to all kids below 18 years of age, as long as they have a long-term residence permit. If they have permanent residency, then of course they can get the public healthcare as well, because that's the permanent residency benefit. I did another video about that just last week. But now all kids with long-term residence permits up to 18 years of age should be able to qualify for the public healthcare. So that's an amazing change. You will not have to pay the private like tens of thousands of crowns every year. I believe now the base is 26,000 crowns a year for the cheapest option with PVZP. So this is an amazing. Of course, we don't know now how it will work. We don't know how what you will need to prove to the insurance company if you just go there and tell them, hey, here's my child, register them, or if they will need like extensive amount of paperwork from you. We don't know yet. We'll see when we start getting into it, but there is the possibility. That's amazing in my opinion. One thing I would like to mention here is that you don't have to go with VZP. VZP is not the only public health insurance company. Actually, if you're a foreigner, I advise even going for a different one on purpose. We usually recommend OZP. We don't get any commission from them for recommending clients. So this is like just from our daily experience that OZP is way easier to deal with. And especially if you're here, for example, under the business residence permit, then all the extensions are way easier with OZP than with VZP. VZP just, I don't know, they have so many strange rules and they don't give you any documents unless they like really have to. OZP, you go there, tell them, hey, I need this, and they give it to you for 2 years and they don't care. So I definitely recommend OZP if you can do that. Of course, it's possible and likely that you will need to keep, or the child will need to keep the same insurance company as the mother has. So if the mother has VZP, then the kid will get VZP as well. But if not, and you can choose, I would recommend OZP for sure. And now the last change, which is also very important and interesting in my opinion, is the new FRS system. So guys, for those of you who don't know what FRS is, you can check one of my previous videos. I believe like 3 weeks or a month ago, I did a video about using the FRS system. FRS system is foreigners reservation system. So that's the online system where you can create a profile under your passport number and everything, and you can book appointments with the ministry online. So if you want to go submit your application, you want to get a bridging visa or whatever, you cannot do biometrics to there. It must always be done via call-in. But for all the other agendas, you can book an appointment online, so it's easier. This system, FRS, will be replaced by a new version of it, which should be hosted on the website prod.frs.gov.cz. So the same as now, but the 4 letters will be before that. And it will include even more information. I honestly must say that I'm a bit afraid that it might kind of influence our business, because the ministry is doing something really like good, in my opinion, that they will be starting this new website for foreigners, because now the website of the Ministry of the Interior is kind of like written in the ministry way that usually people don't understand anything when they go there. And it's, compared to other websites of other ministries, it makes kind of sense and there is some logic. But the ministry now decided to do a website specifically for foreigners where you will be able to find all the information. And this is this website, and through that website you will be also able to create the account, and you will be able to find a lot of information on that website. The only disadvantage at this point is that the registration you already have with the FRS system will no longer be valid. They will delete all the accounts. So you will need to create a new account with a new system. So if you now have the FRS system or FRS login details, they will be canceled, deleted, and you will need to create a new login details in the new system. But besides that, actually it looks pretty good, the website. So I must say, I'm kind of happy that the ministry is doing this, because it seems that they are really trying to do something for foreigners. Up until now, it didn't really seem that way, or it seemed, but in very small changes. This is a pretty interesting thing. So I'm kind of happy that it will happen. Of course, I'm a bit worried that they will write it in that super simple way and they will make everything electronic, that our services will no longer be needed. But I don't think it will happen too soon. And from what I see every day at the ministry, one thing, when I touch this topic, for example, the ministry tells you whenever you go to the branches, that they have the screens with the numbers and everything, and there is this notes what you should do and some guides and stuff, and they always write there, don't come here if you don't have to. Whatever you can send it to us. So they don't want you to go to the branches, so you don't use their time and their capacity and everything. But what happened to our clients a couple times is that we, for example, sent everything via mail, because you can do that. For example, for EU citizens, you can send the whole application via mail, or for extensions of residence permit. So if you have a business residence permit or student residence permit and you just want to extend it, you don't have to go in person to the ministry. You can just mail it. So we did that. And then the ministry told us, yeah, but you didn't send the original passport, so come and show us the original passport. Even though we sent a copy with signature and official stamps and everything, they didn't accept that, and they wanted the person to come and show them the passport. So they tell you, don't come here if you don't have to, but then if you don't go, they tell you come, you haven't come. So it's kind of weird still, and I believe the next 10 years it will still be pretty crazy and not that usable or doable on your own. But yeah, the ministry is doing some changes which might be actually good. So thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions, get in touch, comment the video, or join the community. And see you next time, Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. See you guys. It's been a long live stream. Sorry for the mumbling. Let's see, 15 people. Guys, thank you very much. Amazing. See you next time.